Hey guys, how you doing? Today I'm going to be reviewing A Quiet Place Part 2. This is obviously the sequel to A Quiet Place that came out in 2018, and in my opinion that was probably the best horror film of that year and one of the best films of that year. A Quiet Place is directed by John Krasinski, and he is one of the main stars in the first film and does appear in this film as well, obviously, as he dies in the first film. But yeah, he's created such an interesting film within the first one, and I do believe that did warrant a sequel to be made. And hopefully, as it's directed by him, I had high hopes going in that this would be on the level, if not better, than the first film. And yeah, he definitely delivers. This film is, in my opinion, a little tiny bit below the first one, but is literally that close from being on par. This film is outstanding. The directing, again, by John Krasinski is so great. He really does know how to build tension, and I believe this film depicts that even better than the first film. Now, there's two bits to this film that really change and differ from the first one. Now, the pacing of the first film, in my opinion, is perfect. The first film, you are always on your toes. And in this film, the pacing is the only thing I sort of had a tiny bit of an issue with. Now, the intro to this film, we'll talk about now, is really good. Maybe better than the first one. The first one's intro is very good, but this one is a sequel for the intro. The intro is a sequel, and it shows the first day of when these alien beings came to Earth and how chaotic it was, and honestly, like, terrifying it was. And this is such a great scene. This intro is literally on par, in my opinion, probably a bit better than the first film. But this is where the pacing comes into play. After that first bit, after that intro, there is a 20-minute period where nothing's really happening. It's sort of these just long walking scenes that probably, if that happened in the first film, I wouldn't have minded it as much. But I've already seen that film, and that film, I feel, kept you interested a lot better than this one did for that 20-minute period. It's not the whole film, I promise you that, otherwise they wouldn't be near each other. It's literally just this little period where they're walking from one house to the other, and yeah, it's just not that interesting for that little bit. But that quickly wears off, and this is where I'll go into the next point, which is why I believe this part of this film is better than its previous film. Now, the bit that holds this film above the other one, for me, is actually the scares and the horror scenes, as I'll call them. Now, in the first one, obviously, that's why it's so well loved, is John Krasinski knows how to build tension and just build a scary atmosphere, especially with these creatures and their specific skill of hearing. Now, that is very key to that first film, and he does a masterful job of making the audience scared and feel tension. But he ups it with the sequel, in my opinion. There's certain scenes where stuff's going on, and there's certain circumstances and specific things about the surroundings that really make you feel more worried and anxious about the film. Now, this is a spoiler, but one of these, for an example, is this vault door that they use to protect themselves once they travel to their new area. This vault door has to be held from the outside by a towel, and they specifically show you that, so that sort of sets it up for later, and I sort of expected it when he shut himself in, the little kid who was protecting the baby whilst the mum was out, but he forgot the towel, and he was locked in there with a limited amount of oxygen that he had to share with the baby. And that sort of stuff, that really creative building by John Krasinski of this tense scene, that could have easily just been, oh, we're hiding from the monster again. But no, he obviously mixes it up and makes it more interesting with this creative idea. And I feel like they do a lot more of that in this film than the first one. Not that they didn't do it in the first one, but they really up the creativity in those tense scenes. And I feel like he's done that obviously purposefully, as he's a very smart director and he knew that he needed to up the stakes, and I feel like he did that. Now, the characters in this film, there's one issue I have with a certain character that I'll go into in a sec, but overall the characters are mainly expanded here. Yes, the the scope of the world and the world building is built on a little bit here as well. Not that much, but enough to make you, you know, appreciate it, and it's not that it's not disappointing to me, the world building. They do enough, but the character work is beautiful here. The character work in the first one, the daughter was starting to get on my nerves, I'm not going to lie to you. The daughter in the first one kept doing stupid things, as a kid would do, like that's not really bad writing. It just gets a bit repetitive at times with that daughter making silly mistakes. But in this film, she does, but it's warranted, and it relates very well to her relationship with her dad, which the first film was very, you know, that's what the first film was very focused on, was her relationship with her dad. And I thought they handled that relationship, even after his death in this film, very, very well, and expand on it, and show how she has his characteristics, and that is why she eventually is the main protagonist of this film, in my opinion. She is like the main character. Obviously, it focuses on all of them quite equally, but she's shown as like, she could be the leader in like 5 more years when she's a bit older. Like, she has that same mentality as her father, and really, you know, drives the plot forward. And I forgot the actor's name, but he not replaces John Krasinski, but he's the new big male role who sort of goes off on I wouldn't really call it a subplot, it's not really a subplot, but the other half of the story with this daughter character. And I think he could have been so generic. They could have made him just this other, like, generic guy that you're like, well, John Krasinski died, and they thought, oh, we need a new guy, because we sort of killed our other guy off. But no, I think his performance is amazing. His story they set up in the sequel section at the start of the film, they set it up very well. And even intense scenes where there's a scene with the daughter and him on a boat. Oh, what's it called? The little bit where the boats are. I don't know what it's called, but and something they set up in the prequel section, where he's saying to the girl, because she obviously knows sign language, for her brother to dive when he's playing baseball. That comes back into play, and it's clever writing like that makes you really appreciate this film. Maybe even more than the first film. Like, he's just a great character in this film, and I thought he did a great job, and I'd love to see him continue. So yeah, overall, this film's pacing is a tiny bit worse than the first, but honestly, it's not that bad. It's only for a little bit of time, and that quickly picks up. The only minor other issue I have is that the film does end pretty abruptly like the first one did, but I believe I've actually seen online that there will not be a Quiet Place 3. There will be a spin-off film, and it won't be directed by John Krasinski. So that makes me a little worried. I'm not saying I have no faith in it, because I trust John Krasinski to give it to a guy that he knows will do a good job. So yeah, I'm not saying I'm not interested. Of course I am, but I kind of wanted a Quiet Place 3 after they ended so abruptly here. And if this is the last one, I kind of wish he ended it in a bit more of a satisfying, like, definite conclusion to this story. But yeah, other than that, this film is literally on par, just as I said at the start, a little bit below the first film for me. So yeah, I'm going to give this film a 9 out of 10. It's a lower 9, but obviously it deserves it. It's a 9 out of 10, and probably the best film of 2021 so far, minus Zack Snyder's Justice League, Restore the Snyderverse. But yeah, let me know your thoughts. Restore the Snyderverse for me, thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys.